Welcome to Breakfast Central TGIF edition on a Friday. And we are back, ready to roll and ready to rumble. It's going to be a very interesting one because a lot has happened. And for our tedious and you could say tough moments that we've had, especially during the entire week, we can rightly mention that it's going to be a very interesting edition for today as we look through from Monday to Friday, plus some of the biggest stories that you should know about. My name is Joe Hansen, and I'm welcoming you to Breakfast Central. Benga Borowa is here as well. Good morning, Benga.
Yeah. Good morning, Joe. Like you said, it's time to rock and roll. It's the penultimate week before the official close of the year for most companies. And first of all, congratulations to all of you for making it this far up in the year. It's been a roller coaster year for Nigeria. We had some highs and some lows, and in another week or two, we'll start reviewing the year. But it's good to be here. Today's Friday. We've got a lot in store for you yesterday, and so many things happening. Yes, Nigerians have groaning over air ticket prices. Yesterday at the Senate, we saw a lot of bow and go. Yes, and Nigerians were expecting scrutiny, but it is what it is. Welcome to the program. I am Benga Aborowa.
Nigerians were expecting scrutiny yesterday, but of course it's going to be tougher because why it's going to be tough is because you have over 60 ambassadors, nominees
to go through.
If you're going to scrutinize, say you use 1 hour per person, that's about 60 hours. And that's going to take a long time. Besides that, some of them are notable personalities in the political space and have also done a lot. So it's quite understandable, a little. But one thing we were expecting, and we talked about it, we're hoping that by now there would have been portfolios attached to each nominee. Take, for instance, Reno Mokri. He will be going as an ambassador. He will be going to Togo and so on and so forth.
Zimbabwe.
I'm not saying he's going to Togo.
Or Zimbabwe.
Just an example. Or Zimbabwe or something. Just attached. And then everybody starts to know, okay, fine, Nigeria has this. But
what do you know about this country?
What do you know about this country?
What sort of relationship can we develop?
Exactly.
What do we stand
what
to gain?
diplomatic ties can we, and so on. These are the key issues. If Nigeria were to be a company, Benga, I wonder how you would interview people who would work for your company without having to go through this curriculum vitae, like they call it, and then aligned with the particular space you have or the opening you have in the office. But it's fine. Let's start off the wake-up conversation this morning because we're still going to get into that conversation. First off, it's a harsh reality, very harsh one, because it's starting to cripple a lot of persons in terms of movement from point A to point B. Nigerians nationwide are expressing deep frustration over the soaring cost of air travel with recent experiences such as a Lagos Warri ticket purchased for an astonishing 500,000 bucks, capturing the public's anger over what many describe as an unbearable pricing crisis. Now, their concerns were echoed sharply in the Senate 2 days ago when Senator Abdul Fattah Buhari revealed that he personally paid more than 700,000 for a one-way ticket to Kebbi, a figure he said reflects how unsustainable airfare has become for ordinary citizens. Senator Dabo Aliero joined in the criticism, insisting that the aviation minister must immediately appear before lawmakers to address the sudden spike and provide clear measures to stabilize fares. Although he hasn't appeared before the Senate, but he did speak about it during the Federal Executive Council meeting, saying that the government cannot in any way further regulate the price because it is already regulated. Anyway, lawmakers warn that if the trend continues unchecked, the prohibitive cost of air travel will cripple essential mobility, disrupt business operations, and further strain an already pressured economy. Let's take a look at the senators, what they were saying, before we look at a concerned citizen of Nigeria who just couldn't hold back but speak out. Take a look.
From Abuja to Lagos ranges from 400 to 650,000. Even from here to Ilorin, it's about 450,000. When we noticed all this, the committee, we decided to even investigate further. And we now find out that cut across, people cannot afford to travel.
This is wickedness and exploitation.
All right, just need to rush through it. That was the last video you saw was a video of the lady who was complaining on social media yesterday, highlighting that the airfares are completely expensive, too expensive for not just her, but Nigerians, and called for immediate attention. It's much like calling for a state of emergency on Nigeria's
I mean, it
airfares.
deserves a state of emergency because the senator did highlight that the essential services, there are people that just have to travel. And I mean, 700,000 naira, that's about $500 for a flight that is less than an hour within your own country, a domestic fare. I mean, this is too much, it's unsustainable. And the fact that the Federal Executive Council had to come up with a committee to reconvene in 2 weeks' time. I mean, in 2 weeks' time will be Christmas already. People need to travel now. People need to travel today, tomorrow, within the next few days. And I believe 2 weeks' notice or 2 weeks is such a long time for the Federal Executive Council to return. And the Minister of Aerospace and Aviation, Mr. Festus Keyamo, just easily dismissing it flippantly that, you know, Nigeria operates a free market economy and the aviation sector is deregulated. So therefore, their hands are tied. Your hands are not tied. If you look at the tax component of the ticket, it's quite huge. So, and airlines have complained about multiple taxation from different agencies like NCAA, NAMA, FAN, and others. You could take a look at that and, you know, make some adjustments to offer succor to the generality of Nigerians. If high standing or high network individuals like senators of the Federal Republic are complaining, then imagine what Joe and I and the average people out there are going through with this exorbitant fee. Something has to be done, and it has to be done urgently.
It's a big problem. It's a concern, very critical one. And people are traveling from left, right, and center. And just yesterday, one of the flight carriers had to cancel flight, and it cost a stir. People were angry.
I mean, I'm paying
people were
exorbitant fees, and you dare cancel my flight.
My brother, they were mad. Like people were mad. And when I say people, I saw the crowd, and I'm like, if you, despite the fact that these flights are very expensive, people are breaking their backs just to ensure they
still
pay.
have the audacity.
And you would just want to do that because you do not want to hear stories that touch. When you say, myself, the father, two of my daughters who just came from the United States for the holiday, let's use the road.
Yeah.
People don't want to hear stories.
Because of the level of insecurity in the country. I mean, it's almost like Nigerians can't catch a break. It's always one issue
at
or
this
the
point.
other.
And then you wonder what's truly important and what's not working and what is working. But let's see what Nigerians are saying concerning this situation. If you are part of those who has struggled a lot in paying the airfares, well, do let us know. But someone else has been complaining. But let's take a listen and see what he did say concerning the flight and the fare.
Sir Festus Keyamo, Mingo, come. You be Ruboman, come and talk to you, come. Just barely a few weeks ago, the price of ticket, it was not cheap, but it was affordable. I paid 410,000 naira to come from Lagos to Warri. The price, they worry me. So I need to worry you. In 2019 I went to Dubai, economy, for 247,000 naira. Today, I am paying 410 when you are the aviation minister. Sir, come. Dollar did not go up. The price of aviation fuel did not go up, to the best of my knowledge. The only thing that went up was insurgency and insecurity on the roads, and kidnapping increased. Does kidnapping increase the price of tickets? I've been at the airlines, they sponsor this insurgency? No, because tell me why we will have increase in insecurity, then airline fare tickets go increase.
I mean, it may sound comical, but it's very logical.
These are the questions.
And these are the questions. And that's why the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has decided to summon the aviation minister. And we can't wait to hear his answers. But we don't want excuses. We know what he will say. It's the same thing he said at the Federal Executive Council meeting. We need urgent action. This is unsustainable. And it's exorbitant. And you're giving kidnappers, if you dare, you are pushing more customers to them, because I wouldn't say that the roads are now safe enough for road trips, long distance road trips. I mean, why would you want to risk your life to do that? And these monies are hard to come by. Like I said, it's not like it was cheap before, but it was affordable, but now it's just it's ridiculous.
Before now, it was 150,000. I paid just in September, while I had an event, I paid, we were able to secure 4 seats, tickets, for 4 persons. In short, 5, plus 1, plus a speaker was flying in from Abuja. And we got it for 100 and everything, for 150 something each. And one of them, we got it for 125, you know, or 2 of them, both of them.
Yeah.
So imagine 125
to, in a few months,
700,000 bucks, to 500,000 bucks from September, October, November, because it started at the end of November. That's when people started complaining that these flight tickets have increased. So from November up until now, in the space of just 3 months.
and then what happened? For what reason?
So, like we need to look at it. Did the dollar increase again? Did Naira, you know, crash? Naira to dollar?
The price of
not.
aviation.
Absolutely
I mean, the dollar price has been stable. If not, Naira has been gaining.
Filling stations are even dropping prices, even though we still feel that's not what it should be. It should even be way lesser. But they're dropping prices. Of course, they're talking international market price and so on and so forth. But Jet A1 fuel, the prices, wouldn't it affect that too? But I also agree with what like our guest said, like you just mentioned, the taxes on these airfares are way too much. But let's see what Nigerians are saying very quickly and get their thoughts, especially if you love to share, also reach us online and let's hear your thoughts. I'll just go to Ima. Let me just call Ima. I really don't understand the other graphics and all that. I'm tired of hearing all these complaints of airline tickets. If you cannot afford to pay what the airlines are charging, there are a couple of things you can do about it. Okay, let's hear. And social media posts asking them to reduce price or asking government to regulate their prices is simply silly.
It's not.
Regulation comes with responsibilities from the government to the business. Airlines are already heavily regulated, and the kind of regulation you are calling for, which is price, requires that your government subsidizes it. Essentially, they will pay a part so that it can be cheaper for you. Your government do not care about you to take on these types of responsibilities, and that is why your cry for regulation is falling on deaf ears. Here are a few things you can do as an alternative in preparation for next year, because obviously this year's already done. 1, do a crowdfund and have your own airline. Yes, you read it right. 50 billion, 100 billion can get you an airline. Are you joking? You do not have to be the only person. If 10,000 of you decide to each bring 10 million naira each, you'd have enough money to own your. Okay, all right. 2, take chartered flight. Think of it like Uber or flights. Find few other persons that max out the seat and split the cost. Might be cheaper or not. 3, own a helicopter. Okay, I think we need to move. Let's take another tweet.
Yeah, exactly.
This is
his opinion. He's living in his fantasy world.
Yeah, he's living in the fantasy. Only flights from Lagos and Abuja to the east, Enugu, Owerri, Asaba cost this much. Flights from Lagos to Sokoto, Kano, Abuja, Maiduguri, etc. do not cost this much. They know what they are doing. Pepe
that's false information. You heard the minister, Kebi. It's everywhere in the country.
It's everywhere. It's increased. Yeah. You might want to check that again. Ike says her frustration is justified. 500K for a flight under an hour is excessive and shows airline price exploitation. With road insecurity, Nigerians are trapped between unsafe travel and unaffordable flights. Regulators must enforce fair pricing and ensure accessible, safe transports. That's what Ike says. Ike is reacting to that video we were supposed to show to you earlier on about the lady who was complaining bitterly online. Zen Magazine says, I have the wild feeling that these airline companies are in bed with these kidnappers, because why will you be charging $500,000 for a local flight that is just under 1 hour? Something isn't adding up. Subsidy is gone. Someone once said, well, when that statement was made, the impact was not met yet. But now we're meeting the impact and shaking hands with the impact of subsidy is gone. Whew, that's a tough one. Let's leave that story now and go straight to what happened in Abuja, Benga.
Yes, and mild drama unfolded at the Senate during the screening of ambassadorial nominee Reno Amokri. Remember, we will recall that when his name was put up, it led to a lot of tongues wagging here and there. When the Committee on Foreign Affairs briefly slipped into a rowdy exchange, it began after Senator Ali Ndume moved a motion for Omokri to take a bow and go, arguing that his previous role as presidential aide entitled him to the courtesy. But Senator Adams Oshomole objected, insisting on making his remarks before any decision was adopted, which quickly led to a sharp back and forth between the ranking lawmakers. The tension didn't last long, though, as the committee eventually calmed the atmosphere and agreed to let Omokri leave without taking questions.
Before us, our career ambassadors and ambassadors before, and also the last among the nominees, Reno, is somebody that I personally know for the past 25 years. Can vouch for his character. Therefore, Mr. Chairman, I again want to move that these nominees take a bow and go. I so move. If you were, you don't know.
It should be seconded or
you don't know. It's not seconded.
Are you the
Who was the seconder?
I'm the seconder. I'm not called.
Now,
There's a motion on
until you are called, you cannot shut me down.
No, he's not talking to you. He wasn't talking to you.
Let the chairman preside.
He wasn't talking to you. 1 minute.
These are people.
Okay, go ahead.
There's a motion on ground. You can either defeat the motion or let it survive. But
all right. So how come you have other people have spoken?
let the chairman.
Senator Adams, he wasn't. Go ahead.
I have the authority of the chairman.
Please go ahead.
Chairman, you cannot exercise power that you don't have.
You don't exercise.
Chairman, I want to thank you, Senate leader, and my colleagues. I cannot be intimidated by people who go here and there. After all, we see people on television questioning this list.
Please ask
Mr. Chairman, sir.
The procedure is that if there is a motion on ground, it should be seconded. If it is not seconded, it's dead.
It's dead. So allow me to continue. Mr. Chairman, you have allowed me. Please protect me.
Senator Adams, conclude. Your time is going. Conclude.
All right. Mr. Chairman, I think I needed to speak on this in the public interest. With particular reference to the nominee, Reno. Because we cannot pretend we have not had stories.
We can't work on stories.
For me.
There is no petition before the
For me.
Look, this is
For me.
You should not return the Senate. The Senate is not a joke. Senate is not a joke. Senate is not where you.
The floor.
I saw you stopping the petition.
Come on. I believe.
Senator Adams, continue.
Nominee Omokri has shown by the power of example that he is a pragmatist. He is not detained by old feelings. You may have doubt, suspicion about anyone until you have the opportunity to so perform. Indeed, you don't know anyone until you give him the driver's, you hand over to him the steering of a vehicle. This young man has shown that where he sees a compelling evidence in the interest of the Nigerian nation, he will not be ashamed to say that I was wrong in my assumption. From what I have seen, this man is working and he deserves the support of all those who want progressive governance. The second side of the argument is that we have a president. We have a president who has shown that by the power of example, the minimum requirement of leadership, and here I will proudly say I was a governor, which is a head of a subnational government. And so when I talk, those who are not the governors should listen.
Governors come to Senate.
You have to have
governors, you struggle to.
Your Excellency.
Leader, Senator Okoyemi Bamidele, the distinguished Chairman, Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs, Senator Sandy Bello, the distinguished Deputy Chairman, Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs, distinguished members of the Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs, and distinguished senators from my state, Senator Mary, Senator John Onuwako, and Senator Edel Yakinwano, the Special Advisor to the President of Senate Matters, Senator Bashir Elrado, CEO. My name is Bruno Murphy. I was a Special Assistant to the President on New Media. I'm an author, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, the drama unfolded. For me, I don't think that I don't see any story in this. I just see,
I mean, the story is on. At the end of the day, he got cleared and he passed. So, regardless of how much noise is made on the pages of newspapers, in the television, like Senator Adams Oshomole said, or public opinion, it really doesn't, in some situation, does little to move the needle. And Mr. Omoko is going to be an ambassador. So we wait to see what posting he will be getting.
I think whether we like it or not, names were pushed to the Senate. I think that's not the challenge. The challenge for Nigerians basically were the personalities that were given the responsibility to represent the country as envoys. That's where Nigerians were really worried that, okay, are these the best that we have? But then again, just 62 or so or thereabouts, you still have a huge number of others to come to, about 109 or so, 103, my memory serves.
And it's a tax, I mean, it almost feels like an exercise in futility, because if you compare this to the screening of General C.G. Musa, they've gone back to default mode.
So I was talking to someone and he said the difference, that what we would see, funny enough, there was a prediction that this is what we would see. We'd just say, oh, come, oh, you know what, well done, how are you doing? Okay, take a bow. And that's exactly what we saw that took place. And the person had said the difference is because Nigeria is faced with insecurity challenges. So the drilling will be more in terms of trying to find solutions to the nagging issues.
Not
However, these ones are not issues. And truly, if you really look at them, they're not issues.
Because they're not going to make, as long as they're upstanding, they don't have any criminal cases against them. I mean, you could look at the morality of it, and there's no, like the senator said, there's no petition that has been written to the National Assembly not to clear him.
Who would write it? So I also have a problem with that, but like I say, I really don't want to spend time on this conversation, but I mean, it's personal, and personal is because there's no need. Yes, just go and represent and do the job. However, when you say no petition has been written, that's where due diligence comes in. And I keep saying this, and like I said it before, if Nigeria were to be a company, and you're about to employ somebody to work for your office or your company, wouldn't you go through the person's CV to ensure you're fine? And if you go through the CV and you find something not connecting or something that needs to be questioned,
character flaws.
Character. Take for instance, oh, this person has worked in 7 companies. We've seen that this character, he always has this character. It could be pilfering, it could be this, it could be that. Would you say, yeah, it's fine? I mean, nobody came forward to say, oh, he should be locked up. Okay, you know what? Just drop it. Let's move on. You're welcome. But Nigeria is Nigeria. Whatever it chooses to be,
it's also
in this situation.
It's also worthy of note to note that former executives, ministers, and even some aides were exempt from this talks, from the screening. Not exempt from screening. They were asked to bow and go. We saw that with the former governor of Enugu State, Ifeanyi Ugwenyi, and
former
chief
minister
Fani Kaude. Yes.
It's good. I mean, this is eventually, we've had guests who've joined us and they've said that they think the entire exercise is a rush exercise because of the United States and so on. But whatever it is, I mean, we're happy that we've made progress. Few more names to come up. We'll wait and see when those names will indeed show up. But let's go back to a story that came up yesterday, Gbenga, and we took time to dissect it yesterday. The River State political scene took a sharp turn yesterday again. If you think it's all over, it's not. This time, The State Assembly publicly countered Governor Siminalayi Fubara's recent claim that he had not met with the lawmakers and that there was no rift between them. Yesterday, we brought you that footage of the governor while he was speaking at the commissioning of a project. In that video, he said, many are saying that he doesn't want to meet with the House of Assembly members, but that's a lie. Anyway, speaking to journalists, speaker that you can find on the screen there, Martin Zamowole, described the governor's statement as unnecessary, condemnable, and capable of sparking another crisis in the state. He clarified that following the president's directive, the FCT minister Nyesom Wike convened 2 meetings between the governor and the assembly, first at Wike's residence and later at Ferdinand Alabraba's house, contradicting Fubara's claim of non-engagement. The lawmakers also accused the governor of disparaging Wike through his comments, awarding contracts to cronies without assembly ratification, attempting to buy off members with state funds, and misrepresenting the 600 billion naira left by the outgoing sole administrator. Despite the tensions, the assembly reiterated its commitment to protecting the interests of Rivers people and upholding the peace process facilitated by the president.
Maybe Governor Fubara forgot.
Let's take a look.
The governor has not come to us to tell us to present the budget of the state. He hasn't. In 2024, he spent with that appropriation law. In 2025, he was spending. Emergency rule was declared. Even after the emergency rule, we discussed with him in the meeting, saying, look, bring your budget so that we can take care of all you intend to do for the remaining part of 2025. There in that meeting, the governor told us blatantly that he will not do it. That he will not bring a budget. We have kept mum hoping that the governor will do the right thing. From September, when we met with the governor, to this day, the governor has been spending without our approval, awarding contracts to his cronies, particularly those who masterminded the burning of the Rivers House Assembly.
This drama continues.
You know, that's the danger of a single story that Chimamanda spoke about. So it's good to hear both sides of the stories. Yesterday, when the governor was speaking, you know, you have the tendency of saying, believe in him, and then all is well in River State. And then this is a total opposite. These are very weighty allegations. And it's not just denying that they've not met, it's also there are allegations of corruption and awarding contract to cronies who said were responsible for the burning of. So it seems, you know, all is not well.
Anyway, we'll see if we can touch on that story, but let's bring to you our top stories for today. Olive is around the corner. All right, okay, let's just take a look at the top stories for today on Breakfast Central. This morning on Breakfast Central, U.S. visa to require 5 years social media check. What did you say in 2020? FRS France partner digital tax reform. All you need to know. Is it good? Is it fair? You'll find out. ECOWAS declares state of emergency. What does it mean for West African nations, especially Nigeria and the likes? And also Christmas airfare reduction. We'll take a look at that as well. We'll bring to you the newspaper front pages here on News Central, where you can join in and make a call and speak with us. All here on Breakfast Central. Welcome back. The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has declared a regional state of emergency following a disturbing surge in military coups and attempted mutinies across West Africa, from Mali to Burkina Faso, Niger to Guinea, and now a failed coup attempt in Benin. Just days ago, the democratic fabric of the region is frayed. Well, ECOWAS Commission President Omar Touré, speaking at the 55th Mediation and Security Council session in Abuja, warned of unprecedented political and security threats and called for urgent collective action to safeguard democracy. Well, joining us this morning on Breakfast Central to x-ray the implications of this development is the Regional Coordinator, Institute for Security Studies, Dakar, Senegal, Mr. Wale Ojawale joins us this morning. Thank you for being here and good morning to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Okay, good. Dr. Ojawale, you've heard of this state of emergency. Africans are wondering, how will this work? Is it a case of just a mention, or what will be implicated, or what would it imply rather, especially looking at the current state of a few African nations that are struggling with coups and insecurity?
Well, I think a lot lies in the realm of what I would describe as strategic ambiguity now. But what we can make of that statement is the fact that the ECOWAS is basically sending a riot act to anyone who possibly might be thinking or planning to disrupt constitutional order in any of the member states. That is the number one thing. And the statement essentially is to foster two things: readiness to combat such action and to establish a red line that cannot be crossed, and that if crossed by anybody is going to be crushed, as they have done recently in Benin. So why the whole idea might be struded in secrecy, so to speak, like in strategic studies where you don't communicate everything to the general public. I think the overarching idea is to show that we have tolerated this in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. And going forward, as we have demonstrated in Benin, we are no longer going to tolerate that.
All right. We've seen about 5 successful coups, rather. You say that this is a message to those who are attempting. What would you say now that ECOWAS has declared a state of emergency, how much influence do you think this will have in actually deterring further coups from potentially happening? Do you think that it wields currently the level of influence that the regional bloc should wield?
Yes, ECOWAS has in its toolkit different tools that they could have used to probably forestall or maybe restore forestall coup or restore constitutional order in places where that has happened in the recent time. But there was a serious public outcry against the interventionist posture of ECOWAS in Niger, and then eventually that had to be swept under the carpet. And then we had what President Goodluck Jonathan described as a ceremonial coup in Guinea-Bissau. And then that ECOWAS was also handicapped in terms of how to respond. But now in the case of Benin, they have switched from using diplomacy. It was diplomacy and back channel engagement that were used in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger that yielded no result. Now moved to an interventionist posture action, which they did, and it was successful in Benin. So now what ECOWAS is going to do now really is to activate that alert within the mechanism that are available in ECOWAS. They've put together what they consider a standby force, and we have seen how they were able to quickly switch into action in Benin. Another thing that I think is going to be very, very important going forward is that all countries cannot be treated as equal in terms of vulnerability to such unconstitutional change of order. So I think ECOWAS know where their priority lies in countries where those fault lines exist, and then create that readiness to be able to quickly respond and then quench any form of move that may want to subvert the constitutional order. But anybody who looks at the event of change of government in the past 5 years in ECOWAS region, the West Africa, will know that this is the most strategic step that ECOWAS has made in the recent time. And credit to the body, credit to Nigeria that was able to quickly wage in, and credit to countries that also signal to be able to contribute troops to that standby force. We're talking about this now. And ECOWAS has changed the tool. Most people say, oh, Nigeria, ECOWAS is not supposed to intervene in Benin. But I tell you, if the coup had been successful by now, everybody would be all over the places in the media blaming ECOWAS for democratic deficit and why the region is fast emerging as the coup belt of Africa. So I think we need to give them credit for the steps that they've taken in Benin, because I think the coup in Benin was one too many. And like I mentioned earlier, this is going to send a message to everybody that now ECOWAS has another tool that it can quickly deploy as they have demonstrated in Benin.
So many, I mean, the ECOWAS reaction to the coup in Benin has sent mixed signals, because just 10 days before the failed coup in Benin, there was a coup that was successfully carried out, removed the democratic elected president, Umar Sissoko Embalo of Guinea-Bissau, another ECOWAS state. So why didn't ECOWAS use this mechanism? And we've also seen in the recent past, when the former president of the Gambia, Yahya Jammeh, decided to stay beyond his limits after losing elections, it was a similar threat like this that forced him to go on exile to Equatorial Guinea. So the question is, ECOWAS seems to only to be selective in its enforcement. Is it because of the size? You look at a country like the Gambia, it's very tiny. They can't stand the military might of ECOWAS. So you also look at the Republic of Benin, for example. Why didn't we see ECOWAS enforcement in the Sahel states, and also in the recent past in Guinea-Bissau? Why did they decide to draw the line in Benin?
Well, I think two things. The Benin example offers a very good opportunity for ECOWAS to make that statement. And in terms of strategic analysis as well, like you mentioned, Benin is a bit of a narrow corridor that could easily be, let me use the word, where you can quickly carry out such operation. I tell you, if it had been in Niger, Burkina Faso, it is going to be an extraordinary task. So you don't have such opportunity and you decide to look the other way around. You use what you have to make that strategic statement that you want to make. And I think that is what ECOWAS has done successfully. Yes, you mentioned Gambia, you mentioned why ECOWAS was not able to intervene in Guinea-Bissau. I think what happened in Guinea-Bissau was purely what they call what Greek President Goodluck Jonathan described as ceremonial coup. The president planned a coup against himself. So there is limit to how much of intervention that ECOWAS will want to wager in Guinea-Bissau. And, you know, we must also not lose sight of the fact that the Benin coup is a peculiar coup, in the sense that if that coup had been successful, like somebody described, what you will have now is that ECOWAS will have become a snake whose head has been chopped off, because the implication is that the headquarters of ECOWAS is now no longer contiguously connected to other member states like we have it now. Nigeria is the heartbeat of ECOWAS, no doubt. And then you suddenly have a coup sandwich between Nigeria and Togo, completely cut off. So I think the statement about the intervention in Benin, it's a peculiar statement that ECOWAS need to make. Yes, in terms of military operation, it offers an advantage. There's an advantage that is not available in Benin, that is not available. I mean, that was not available in Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali, but that Benin presented, coupled with the fact that the ease with which ECOWAS could mobilize, say, from the instance from Lagos to Benin, is not what is obtainable. Like if they had wanted to do that in Burkina Faso, Mali, or Niger. Of course, Niger is closer to Nigeria, but don't forget that Niger shares about 1,600 kilometers with Nigeria. That is a significant operational challenge that couldn't have been successful as it was in Benin. So yes, it looks like double standard. It looks like ECOWAS look away from other coups that have happened. But at some point, you have to strategically decide that I think we've had enough of these and we need to act. And I'm excited as someone who is committed to democratic norms in West Africa that steps was taken.
All right. President Toure emphasized the need to invest in security of our community in his speech. But what does that mean in practical terms? Does this mean that ECOWAS will be looking at having a regional military intervention force, or will there be some sort of a new force for each region?
Well, I think all members are going to contribute to that. It's a standby force like ECOWAS has reiterated. And what makes it a standby force is also the capability of ECOWAS to quickly activate it within the shortest time possible. So what is important is that countries are going to contribute to that, like they made it clear in their initial statements. I think Syria alone, Ivory Coast, Ghana, Nigeria are the initial countries that signal interest to contribute to that troop. And, originally, if not for the fact that the Alliance of Sahel States decided to take a walk, the original intention is to have a standby force to counter terrorism across the region. Like the former minister of Nigeria mentioned sometimes a few months ago in a regional security meeting, I think in Abuja. But if you want to shave somebody's head, you can't do that in absence, because we know that the heartbeat of terrorism now is in the Central Sahel. And if they decided to walk away, then I think ECOWAS is trying to now repurpose that for strategic political reason now, which is to use it to signal that we now have a standby force that is going to quench any form of attempt to foster an unconstitutional change of government. It was on paper before, but now everybody is saying that it does exist, the capability does exist, and that that has been tested and it was effective in Benin.
Now, Dr. Joale, ECOWAS seems to be threatening fire and brimstone, and they said, look, we've drawn the line with Benin. We're not going to tolerate unconstitutional coups in our backyard and military intervention. But let's talk about constitutional coups, what some observers have termed as constitutional coups. If you look at the history of Burkina Faso, for example, what led to the first military coup was Blaise Compaoré. He tried to change term limits after being in office for 27 years. You also have Alpha Condé in Guinea, and we're seeing this play out in the current ECOWAS in terms of the Yadema family. They've been there for, collectively, about 56 years, the current Yadema and his father. And then in Ivory Coast recently, an 83-year-old was sworn in for his fourth term after changing the constitution. And when the military take over power, they point to some of these things, that these guys are only democratic in name, but not in their behavior. What is ECOWAS doing to foster good governance and prevent this constitutional term limit increase and civilian coups, as some have termed it? Is there a peer review mechanism sort of system in ECOWAS?
While ECOWAS will claim that they have a protocol, which we all know, on democracy and good governance in the region, I think the challenge with transparent implementation of such protocol is the fact that ECOWAS head of states is like a trade unionist, in which the leaders can't really say the truth to one another. And it's unfortunate that this is where the double standard exists. The constitutional coup that you mentioned and the examples, even up to the recent Embalo case, even Benin that we're talking about, we have seen the machinations of the president in the recent time to entrench himself in the politics, even post-presidential power. Now he's going to be a lifetime member of Senate. That was what the Yadema, the president of Togo, has also embarked upon. That was what Macky Sall attempted in Senegal that failed because of people's resistance. So I think the inability of the head of state to talk to themselves, speak true to one another, to even draw the red line within themselves. That document do exist to say, in fact, the protocol says constitution cannot be changed 6 months to election. I hope my fact is correct. So, in other words, the protocol realizes that, okay, member states, president for incumbent, for instance, they might see the reason to adjust the constitution, but pertaining to what has to do with term limits, But they must not do that 6 months to the election. In other words, if you are the president, what you do is that is what these guys have been doing. They get into power maybe 1 year or 2 years after, then they embark on that constitutional misadventure in which they subvert the constitution to suit their longer stay in power. So I think ECOWAS need to look at that blind spot and really address it. From that 6-month amendment to say maybe you can't even, once you get into power, there are certain clauses pertaining to the constitutional limits that you cannot change. But here lies the challenge again. ECOWAS frame itself as an organization that does not meddle in internal political affairs of member states. But when there was a coup in Benin, you stepped in. So that shows that that stance that ECOWAS has in its protocol is really unclear in terms of how they want to implement it. And that is where the challenge is in terms of how we continue to have this constitutional coup, because ECOWAS has not been able to really address that. There are countries that I think should lead in this regard, and courage demands that somebody must step forward and address the issue. And such countries include Nigeria. Of course, Nigeria has also had example of a failed third-term bid under President Obasanjo. So you have a repertoire of experience that you can rely on. You have Ghana that has been a stable democracy for more than 30 years now. You have Senegal that has not even had any constitutional change of government at all. I think these are countries that if the head of state can talk to one another, they can confront their colleague and say what you are doing is bad. And then find a lasting solution to this. How can somebody be in power and then he continues to change the term limits to suit his own purpose? The second thing where I think the solution lies is that it lies with the people. And a good example here is Senegal. Macky Sall made such attempts, but the people resisted it. Of course, it came at a cost, 3 years of protest, paralysis here and there. But the people themselves have been able to draw the red line. In other words, people in those countries must not be on the street for the wrong reasons. They must come on the street. They must seek avenues to register their grievances, particularly when such subversion is taking place, even though it might be subterranean when it starts. But people must see where the overarching agenda lies when head of states, presidents embark on such misadventure. So one, ECOWAS leaders must talk to one another. Ghana, Nigeria, Senegal have that moral courage. They should display that moral clarity to be able to do that and talk to their fellows. And then people can also pick example from people's power that Senegalese demonstrated in the last 3 to 4 years and put the president where he belongs.
When you talk about talking to each other and having conversations, does that in any way, now in the nearest future, include the leaders in the Alliance of Sahel States? Are we starting, or are we expecting to see that there will be open channels of communication and maybe there will be a reintegration back into the regional bloc?
My objective assessment is that at least for the next 5 years, those guys are gone and gone for now. For the next 5 years, we can reasonably make that argument. The reason is simple. Except something unimaginable happen in those countries. And Benin, Burkina Faso has slated 2029 to hold election. I think Mali is unclear, Niger is unclear. And the reason why they won't come to ECOWAS now is that if they come to ECOWAS, then ECOWAS begin to talk about how they need to expedite transition to democracy, which they are not committed to and they are not interested in pursuing. So
on the security notes, because I mean, you can't go to sleep if your neighbor's house is on fire, and we see because of the porous borders in the Sahel region, this insecurity in this state affecting Nigeria. So can there be at least some military type of cooperation or exchange of intelligence, or are we just going to continue to treat them like pariah states?
There should be, but I think for instance, look at the current Minister of Defense in Nigeria, General Christopher Musa. He embarked on some sort of military diplomacy with Niger. He even traveled there when he was the CDS. But unfortunately, that security, all attempts had broken down in that region. I can reasonably explain that account for the spike in attacks that we are seeing in Nigeria in the recent time. Niger quietly pulled out of multinational joint task force. I was in Chad, I think, June this year or April, I think, and I was interacting with some senior security officials, and this is what they were complaining about. In other words, Niger let down the guard in their region, and then we now have this free flow of arms, criminals that are now flowing into the country, and then Boko Haram became more emboldened. So that security cooperation should exist, but I think Niger is not forthcoming in doing that with Nigeria for reasons that can be best explained by them. I'm not sure of so much of what is happening between Ghana and Burkina Faso, but I do know that the president of both countries have visited one another. Ghana is trying to foster security cooperation, and it's the fact that you mentioned that if your neighbor is eating cockroach, you need to warn the person, otherwise you need to find a way to work with the person. When the person starts coughing in the night, it's going to affect you. I know there's a very strong relationship between Senegal and Mali in terms of trade cooperation, but recently when Guinea started besieging Bamako, we campaigned and expected that there was going to be security cooperation on the part of Senegal to help maybe assist in that regard. I don't know how much of that actually took place, but I think what we're going to see is some sort of bilateral security cooperation, cross-border cooperation between present member of ECOWAS and then those AES alliance states for now.
Okay, and I think my follow-up question to that would be, now that we've seen that these guys, like you've said, have distanced themselves from the ECOWAS, and you don't see them coming back within the next 5 years, do you think that this will kickstart a conversation about democracy as we run it in our continent, or in this part of the continent within the regional bloc? And I ask this because when the coup in Niger happened, what we did see was there was a lot of celebration. A number of the Nigerians seemed to support it. Now, ECOWAS is against it, we're kicking against it, we're saying that we want democracy. But do you think that maybe this might change or bring up a conversation of us having to revisit the kind of democracy we run within the region, or we operate within the region?
Well, I think those concerns will have been valid some 5-6 years ago. But anybody who looks at what democracy has become in the recent time globally will know that the challenges of democracy are not peculiar to West African sub-region. It's just that the challenges are manifesting in different ways. I mean, look what is going on in America now. If that is happening in Nigeria, we call it gerrymandering, in which they are redrawing the electoral map so that parties can now have advantage over one another. That is unbelievable some 50, 40, 20 years ago. We've had an election in which the president denies that he lost the election. Those are places that we look up to as bastion of democracy. So I think the primitive aspect of what is happening in Africa, in West Africa in particular now, that we need to kick against is the fact that the military cannot, under any guise, present themselves as an alternative to democracy. Yes, democracy might not be delivering the dividends as people want, but it's still the only option that we have now. People can't come into power because they have access to gun and then impose legitimacy on themselves. The Niger that you mentioned, for instance, I believe the music has changed, and it's changing fast. I have the privilege of interacting with people from Mali, Niger, and all these places because of the work that I do. People are silently complaining. Now, the reason why I can appear on your program and talk like this is because civil liberty is still guaranteed. You can't do that under military. In other words, they cannot present themselves as alternative to democracy, because what differentiates democracy from that form of government that soldiers impose on the people are the civil liberty. That is the software that runs a polity, that runs a country, freedom of association, expression, and all those things. And as long as those are not offered, we can't say because you build school, you build road, you build hospitals, then you take these civil liberties away from us. So I don't really see so much of a need to re-engineer democracy. What we just need is to foster transparency, stability and deliver good governance to the people. The military in Mali has failed woefully. Attacks have increased by 430% between 2020 and September 2025, according to Armed Conflict Event Location Database. In other words, their Democrat counterparts manage the country better in terms of security compared to what these guys who are now preoccupied with regime protection are doing. So I don't really think the peculiarity of the challenges that we have with democracy in our region is only within our region. It's a global issue, but we can continue to engage it. And we are seeing good results from places where people have risen up to resist such authoritarian tendencies or whatever is not helping the state to deliver good governance to the people.
All right, we cannot help but ask the question of the latest landmark agreement that has been signed by ECOWAS. ECOWAS has been able to sign a landmark agreement, we do hear, that will eliminate taxes on airfares across West Africa starting from January 2026. What do you know about this, and what benefits will this be for West African countries?
A very good question. Our region, West and Central Africa, are the two most cumbersome regions where you can travel. In fact, the cost of airfare from here to maybe Cameroon or Nigeria, one way can take you to Europe and bring you back. What am I trying to say? We talk about economic integration. I think ECOWAS has not really, they have laid the foundation, but they've not really implemented that over the years. So I think this is in a very good direction. But much more than that, we talk about the air travel, is the fact that you can't really liberate the region economically until you have an efficient modern transportation system that connects our cities. And I'm talking about modern rail system. It is so sad and bad that people can't even live in Lomé, in Benin, and probably work in Nigeria and Lagos in 21st century, whereas people have done that in other regions of the world. So why I think this is a very good step. Then all those old ideas of Abidjan-Lagos corridor, Dakar-Lagos corridor, in terms of road and rail integration, this is the time to revisit that. Dust those things from the realm of paper and bring them into the realm of implementation. 60, 50 years after independence and the formation of ECOWAS, I think we only have a lot to celebrate on the paper, but very little to celebrate physically. So this is in the right direction, but it's an elitist project. The traders and people are not flying. Yes, that is commendable, but we need efficient road and rail system where people plant pineapple in Ivory Coast can easily move that to Dakar. People who plant plantain in Calabar can move that to maybe it is in Burkina Faso or Togo or wherever it is needed. That is what I think should be the big idea. But we commend this, and we want to see how that is going to impact on how much passengers will be paying for air travel from the coming days.
Thank you so much for your time with us this morning on this very important conversation, Dr. Wale Ojewale. Always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Let's tell you what's coming up next here on Breakfast Central.
Coming up next, the United States visa now requires 5 years social media history for all visa-free travelers. FIRS France partners on digital tax reforms. Senate clears Fani Kayode, Omokri, and others for the ambassadorial screening. Stay with us. The House of Representatives has urged the federal government to reduce airport and other auxiliary charges by airline operators to 50% of its costs during the Yuletide season to help ease the high cost of operations. This followed a motion of urgent public importance moved on the floor of the House by Obi Agwocha, where he raised concerns on the rising cost of domestic airline tickets, saying that the incident has prevented many Nigerians from traveling home for the Christmas to be with their loved ones. While some lawmakers backed the motion, others argued that the cost of operation for airline operators should also be put into consideration. Our House of Representatives correspondent, Idong Joseph, brings us more in this report.
From Abuja to Lagos ranges from 400 to 650,000. Even from here to Ilorin,
2 days after the Senate intervention on the alarming air ticket prices, the resumption of plenary at the House of Representatives turned emotional as lawmakers expressed worry over the soaring cost of airline tickets ahead of the Christmas season.
Concerned that the soaring cost of domestic air travel have created a barrier preventing many from returning to their ancestral homes where shared laughter and family connections are meant to thrive and improve our self-worth.
There have not been any increase in air ticket, the fuel used by air operators. The same pay unit price they were buying in January is the same amount they are buying now in December. So for them to tell us it is because of the increase in air, the fuel, it is unacceptable.
If all of the commodities that we use in Nigeria within this period, festive period, equally decides to increase their prices, what will become of every single Nigerian? They should not lead in this direction.
While warning that the rise in airfares is a social threat to family, not all lawmakers agree.
During heavy weather, aircraft definitely consume more fuel because you don't have a one-way direct landing, more especially in the northern part of Nigeria and even in Abuja here.
The airliners, operators are in business. Therefore, they have to attain the cost of their production, or that is the cost of the extras.
Some argue that the core of the problem lies elsewhere, blaming insecurity and the lack of adequate means of transportation, saying that there is a need to address the root causes.
One of us have suggested that the Minister of Aviation should be invited. Yes, I agree completely. And then take more seriously this issue of insecurity.
I believe that if our roads are fixed very well, fewer people would fly. So we should urge the Ministry of Works to fix the roads.
As activities take shape, the House passed the second reading for a proposed legislation seeking a single tenure for the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, prohibiting the use of foreign currency for domestic transactions, and the issuance of a 3-month notice to the National Assembly before any currency redesign.
This bill is being proposed to amend the CBN Act first on 7-8 areas.
Other key bills, like a proposal to establish an Armed Forces Medical College in the Federal Capital Territory, creation of additional local government areas in Ekiti State, also passed the second reading. In Abuja for News Central, Idong Joseph.
Of a mediator.
The United States of America is planning to introduce a major change to its visa travel program, which could impact millions of international travelers. This requires all visa-free travelers to submit their 5-year social media history as part of a new vetting policy. This policy, if implemented, would apply to visitors from countries currently enjoying the U.S. visa waiver program.
According to a notice from the Department of Homeland Security, this update to the electronic system for travel authorization, known as ESTA, will soon be published in the Federal Register. Officials say the move is intended to strengthen national security and improve background screening for travelers entering the U.S. without a visa.
But the proposal is already raising concerns about privacy, data protection, and digital surveillance, as critics warn it could have far-reaching implications for freedom of expression and personal data rights. To help us unpack the details and implications of this policy, we're joined by global affairs analyst at Bellcrest Institute, joining us all the way from the United States of America. Joy John joins us this morning. Thanks for being here this morning.
All right, good morning.
All right, let's start off. I mean, for Nigerians, we're wondering, okay, why 5 years? Why? I mean, just 1 year is enough, or better still, knowing that these applications such as Facebook, Instagram, Meta, if you want to put it all together, is domiciled somewhere in the United States, so it's easier to just go there and get the data. Why do we have to do the presenting of 5 years and so on? But tell us, what does this mean, especially for the future of travel?
Well, you really can't dictate to a country what they decide to do and what policies they decide to implement. It could be 5 years, it could be 3 years, whatever they deem is necessary. But, with this program, like you rightly said in the intro, it's going to be affecting the 42 countries that already enjoy a visa waiver into the United States. So it's not replacing the program in any way. It's just adding a layer or another layer to that authorization process that they currently have. And yes, it's electronic. And of course, most of these are domiciled in the US. But in this case here, what they're trying to do is to make sure that they're getting this information. Not everyone in Norway, for instance, wants to come to the US. So they're not going to just, say because we have your information here, we'll go through you. No, they just want to know people who are coming into the country vetted.
Right, and just to clarify, this, because when news like this comes out, because we're here in Nigeria representing Nigerians, there's a concern. Just to confirm that this does not affect Nigerians, can you help us confirm that?
Quite honestly, as it is, it's set up with a rollout with the 42 countries. I cannot say if it will, triple down towards Africa or Nigeria. We don't know, but Nigeria does not enjoy the visa waiver program currently. So I think that's a good one in this case for now, that we are not directly affected. It's just the 42 countries listed. We don't know what happens next year when, if it goes through or further down the line. But at this moment, it's starting out with the 42 countries.
The United States often is seen as the bastion of freedom and democracy. And in the recent past, a Norwegian citizen was deported from the United States because he had a meme of the Secretary of War, of the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, which showed him as a baby and a big head, with a comical type of big head, and it was sent back. Why are we witnessing the erosion of some of these freedoms of speech? And so a lot of people might think, that's very petty.
Well, Wenga, it's easy to start off with saying it's being vindictive, but then I think we are currently at a time where people have to be very conscious of what they cautious of what they put out on the internet. The world has become a global village. So you just can't wake up and use, yes, I'm all for freedom of expression, but I think we just have to be very cautious of what we put out and who we direct it to. You can't want to come to my house as a visitor and then you are insulting me or disparaging me on a public space. I wouldn't receive you properly unless there is some room where we discuss to understand why you felt a certain way towards me. But in this case, people could easily say it was just being vindictive. But again, we're all human. We have feelings, and that even the vice president also has blood running through him. So not everybody has the tough skin to handle such criticism. Why it happened, I honestly can't say, but there must have been more to that. They probably would have checked previous commentaries or remarks from him, but I wouldn't want to touch on that.
So what would this then mean for the travelers within this this category? Would it mean that they would now have to go and start reviewing past posts on all social media platforms they've made and remove content that is maybe critical of the United States? And what do you think the US is looking for by searching in the past 5 years through the social media handles?
Yeah, so I think that they would likely check to see what is publicly visible. Many accounts are on private, but you may be asked to open your account. I mean, not that they can't get into it, but you may have to make your account public. They just want to make sure that what is publicly visible matches the information that the applicant provides to them. I think also they are looking for consistency. Does a person's online presence align with their declared identity? What is your travel history and background? Where were you? They also look for, I would say, connections, groups, the groups you join and activities that can be relevant to security checks. But I think that the review is limited for now, from my understanding, to what is publicly visible. Again, not that they cannot go further into going behind you to getting your detail. Everything you put on the internet is public, even when you think you have a locked account or your account is on private. Just take it that whatever you put out on the internet is there for everyone to see. So I think in going backwards, they just want to create a pattern, look into, the kind of person, the comments, the groups, the interactions, and maybe opinions also expressed.
All right. Critics are concerned that this policy could infringe on personal privacy and freedom of expression. And we know what happens when the United States takes the lead in carrying out this sort of validation. Other countries are also set to join and, start the same thing, a similar thing. What's your take on, especially, privacy? Let's talk about data privacy. How do you think this will actually affect it?
Wega, I did say that one, yes, anything you type out on the World Wide Web is public. I just assume that it's public. Even when you have like a closed account, a private account, you still have people in that network that are reading what you're putting out. So yes, these concerns are understandable because people see their online presence as an extension of their private lives, from WhatsApp to X, TikTok and the likes. Social media has now become part of our daily lives. From first thing in the morning, you log on to check the news. So it's not something that, of course, will be accepted with ease. Countries like France, Denmark, Italy, Switzerland, and other leaders in Europe have also expressed their concerns. And, they agree, or I think they're of the opinion that this program feels intrusive. On the other hand, what the U.S. administration is saying is that public posts are already accessible, and that is the whole concept, one, in strengthening their identity screening. So I think that the balance here, I think where we're going to have to draw the line is the balance between individual privacy and national security. That will be what will drive the debate. We will probably, I foresee some hiccups when it rolls out, but we will see how far that goes, or how far the policy or the program can be implemented when it kicks in full next year.
Now, let's talk about, for example, in Nigeria now, it's now a requirement to submit your social media handles if you're applying for an American visa. I want to visit the United States of America. I grew up watching American movies. I want to see San Francisco. I want to see Times Square, New York. But because of my job as a journalist, and there are also concerns about activists that are critical of the United States. For example, yesterday when the United States of America, what people have called piracy, hijacked a Venezuelan tanker, oil tanker that was headed to Cuba. I called it piracy, and I said I condemned it in my own little way. But if I go to the United States Embassy and they see that condemnation of the actions of the United States president, my dreams might never come true. I have to wait for the end of the term of President Donald Trump. Have I lost my freedom of expression because, or should I not have done that? And would I lose my freedom of expression if I want to go to the United States, genuinely want to go to the United States? I have to just keep quiet about everything the United States is doing and not comment on it.
Wow, that's a big one. I don't know if you're actually reporting yourself now. I don't know. But again, I will say that the freedom of speech is one thing that is enshrined in the U.S. Constitution. People who use social media as part of their work, of course, will naturally draw attention. You talked about sharing an opinion. I'm not sure if that relates to you personally, or you just use that as as part of this question here. But it could be anyone really, and I think it's perfectly okay to express your opinion. It's just how constructive is that opinion? We have journalists who cover protest, activists sharing the advocacy work, researchers documenting conflict zones, and they may often post material that is intense or political. I don't think that anyone who expresses negative opinions about the Trump administration or the office of the president or even his person will be automatically denied entry into the United States. But I think that it will prompt a closer look, just simply because their online footprint is larger and more public than the average traveler's footprint. I don't think that it would...
Yeah, but Joy, if we're looking at a practical and recent example, Professor Wole Soyinka made comments comparing President Donald Trump to Idi Amin, called him the white Idi Amin. If a Nobel laureate, a global figure of his standing, can be denied a visa, I mean, who am I in the grand scheme of things? There goes my dreams of seeing Times Square. I guess I'll have to watch it on YouTube.
You will see Times Square. You will see it. You will be from Times Square to Hollywood. You will go.
Amen.
So Soyinka, with all due respect, is an icon that a lot of us look up to, not just in Nigeria, Africa, or the world at large respects his work. He is also not one person that holds back when he has to really say something. He has attained that level to speak up and get away with certain things, and he didn't hold back his opinion. He's entitled to his opinion, but don't forget, yes, his green card, I think, was outrightly canceled. No explanation, no invitation. You will feel a certain way. It's not like he doesn't live in the U.S. He visits. He at least deserved an explanation on why that was canceled, regardless of whatever he said. To get a Nobel Peace Prize is a whole lot. Not everybody can get it, no matter the position you carry. So for them to treat him that way, I cannot speak on that, but I do hope that subsequently it will be resolved. There's nothing that cannot be changed, but I can't say much on that. We're all being careful now.
All right. Finally, final question from me. Do you foresee this new policy helping with a global shift towards digital surveillance and controlling immigration? Because it seems like that conversation will never go away. So maybe one way to control the mass movement of persons into the United States of America is to possibly, take a look at their data through social media, highlighting key concerns, and then you can actually fast-track the rejections. What's your take?
Well, honestly, I can't really say much on that. The goal, as the Trump administration say, is to, or describe the whole proposal as to strengthen the screening before people board a plane to the United States. There was a situation where professor was actually deported out of the U.S. based on her history online. Now, will that make the country significantly safer? I don't think so. I can't really speak on that. I'm not a security expert, but I think it will overall depend on how consistently and carefully the program is implemented. People want to make sure that it's fair and transparent. It's just transparent across board. Yes, it gives the authorities more data to work with, but I think it's also asking the travelers to reveal more than they would actually want to put out. So the big question overall here is, what is the Congress going to say? What are the courts, partner countries? What are they going to say? How are they going to watch this program unfold? I think we will also be watching, I think on my end, I would say I'll be watching closely to see how this information is used in a way that enhances security. Let's come back to the drawing board 3 months and later and say, okay, this program helped keep so and so from this country away from us or from whatever. But we'll have to see how they implement it their success stories. I'm sure the American people here will be demanding to know, the progress and if it's done anything at all. But most importantly, they have to use whatever information they get in a way that enhances security without overwhelming people's sense of personal boundaries. I mean, come on. You don't judge people by their pictures or whatever they put out or their choice, of association. And of course, not contradict what is enshrined in the U.S. Constitution. And freedom of speech is one thing that Americans hold on to. We're thought to be expressive. So this seems like a gag to some people. But again, I'd love to see the success stories afterwards.
Well, I mean, I guess in the coming weeks, we'll find out the application of this and how that will unfold, and if it will then spiral down to other countries. Thank you, Joy John, for joining us this morning on Breakfast Central. Benga was about to say something. I think it was about to say something in America.
I just wanted to say, by the way, I know.
Benga, I want to see you in New York. Let's talk in New York. I want to see you in New York. So
yes, I'll be there.
Let's have a meeting in New York. You will be here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us. All right, we'll be leaving the United States and coming back here to Nigeria, where President Bola Tinubu, represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, has reaffirmed the administration's commitment to developing Nigeria's digital workforce at the 3MTT National Impact Summit in Abuja. He highlighted that Nigeria's youths remain the country's greatest asset, stressing that digital skills now power growth across key sectors like agriculture, health, finance, and manufacturing. Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Bosun Tijani, outlined major digital reforms achieved under the Tinubu administration, including the establishment of Nigeria's first data protection, a $2 billion fiber optic investment, and the declaration of telecom infrastructure as critical national assets. Let's take a look.
From Nigerian youths. Today's National Impact Summit brings
Nigeria's Federal Inland Revenue Service has signed a cooperation pact with France to support its transition into the Nigeria Revenue Service, NRS, in 2026. This agreement links Nigeria with France's Advanced Tax Authority, focusing on digital upgrades, capacity development, and cross-border enforcement. According to FIRS, the collaboration focuses on GFX digital transformation, workforce and capacity development, international taxation, and information exchange and cross-border enforcement. This agreement ties into Nigeria's broader tax reforms and the push for a unified revenue system. Key uncertainties relate to implementation, institutional capacity, data sovereignty concerns, and how effectively the partnership can address long-standing structural challenges. However, FIRS says the partnership will help both countries navigate issues such as AI, cybersecurity, and shifting global tax rules. Joining us now to discuss the implications of this development is the Executive Director at Center for African Policy Research and Advisory, Dr. Segun Adebayo. Good morning and thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Adebayo.
Good morning.
So this sounds like a lot of English. Please break it down. Break it down to the average person. What does this mean? Especially because we see that, or we know that there's a new, an evolution in our fiscal, our taxation. By January 2026, we expect updates. So what does this new announcement mean for us?
Yeah, I think first we need to, I made a statement at the National Assembly quite recently. I said that there are certain data that you must be very careful with when you are having your international collaborations. Because by the time you begin signing MOUs with sovereign states, every sovereign state has its own interests, and they pursue their interests, not yours. When they come to the table, they are not coming to the table to discuss how your interest will be served. It might look like your interest will be served, but eventually it's their interest that's going to be served. If I have access to your entire financial dealings, everything you do with your money, everywhere you go, and bear in mind, this current tax regime that we're going into is an identity-based tax system. It's not just, oh, we're going to be taking the percentage of your money. No, your identity is following it. So you're having a full identity-based taxation system, and then you're going into collaboration with another sovereign state. That is giving me unfettered access to your financial dealings, where you go to, everything you do. And that is sovereign data. No foreign power hands over their sovereign data to another sovereign power in the name of an MOU or collaboration, whatever you want to call it. And these are the concerns that we have had right from inception on this tax conversation. We looked at from 2024 where a certain foreign national met with Mr. President and then said that we should have an identity-based tax system, and he began working very actively towards it. He started consulting for the government in that regard. We can see him several times meeting with our own very Taiwo Oyedele, who's been working on our tax systems. And I mean, right from then till now, look at the National Assembly. Many of the bills that have been quoted at the National Assembly have been on identity, having an identity management forum, identity management commission, and all of that. And you're looking at a merger between the BVN, the NIN, everything is headed towards somewhere. And at the end of it all, 1 month to implementation, we see that the government begins to sign an MOU with another sovereign state. It calls for concern. Data sovereignty has been one of our biggest concerns in this tax conversation. I talked about it 9 months ago at both the National Assembly, at the House of Assembly, there was a National Youth Dialogue on Tax Reforms organized by Project Sprint and the Youth in Parliament Committee. I was there, I raised these issues. But here we are, 1 month to go, we're signing an MOU. We have tech firms in this country that are actually the toast of the continent. Even our own remitter. We have remitter, we have Flutterwave, we have Interswitch, we have Paystack, we have several tech firms, Bamboo. Many of them are the biggest on the continent. Why shouldn't we do what the President of America did very recently, where he sat down with all the heads of tech, with all the tech giants in his country, and sat with them and looked at how he could develop his tech ecosystem with their input, financial and infrastructural input. He sat with them at a dinner. Why don't we have similar? Why don't we have a situation where we bring all of them together? One thing that they all have in common is that they are Nigerians, and they will be patriotic to Nigeria. Just like we have our very own Dangote today, who's refining fuel for us. Why do we have to go?
The government is talking about capacity. They said France has an advanced tax authority, and they're also talking about issues of capacity development. Do we have, I mean, if you look at a country like France, they have the global best practices when it comes to issues like taxation. So from the government's perspective, they're seeing it as more of a collaborative effort, though we have quite a lot to gain by collaborating. The Nigerian companies that you mentioned, do they have the capacity?
Let's even not look at the private companies. Let's look at the Nigerian Interbank Settlement System, NIBS. NIBS is like the Mecca in Africa when it comes to interbank settlement, switching money. Almost every African country is sending a delegation to NIBS every now and then to learn from us. We are the giants in Africa when it comes to tech. So when it comes to capacity, I mean, Nigeria has, if you go to other African countries and you try to, make payments and all of that, and you listen to their financial rules, it will sound strange to you because here in Nigeria, we're having it very easy and smooth because we have technological capacity. We've had, look around the world, you see Nigerians blazing the trail in tech. So if it comes to capacity, let's even start from NIBS. NIBS already is our backbone in switching money across banks. You look at the rise of many fintechs today, having them do fantastically well and all of that. Let us build from there. Let us build from there. Mr. President had a meeting yesterday with the
self-communication and is it Boss Tijani?
Yes, just yesterday, where I was talking about our youths being, the future of the country. Yeah. Let's grow from there. Let's take the conversation from there. Let us have something indigenous to Nigeria, something that a nationalist can look and be proud to say, this thing is from Nigeria. We're not against the tax reforms. We just want it to be fully indigenous. Let us have our data to ourselves. Why is France? France has been in the news for all sorts in the Sahel region. They've been in the news for all sorts in West Africa. Why? And I think it's just right for any sane-thinking person at this time to raise an eyebrow to this MOU that our FIRS is signing with France.
I just want to ask very quickly, has this MOU been made public to Nigerians? Do you have any idea if it's been made public yet?
The details.
That's one. Yes, that's one question. Secondly, are you sure that we're not just in any way overreaching in the sense that this MOU could be as a form of benefits to Nigerians as regards us being afraid? I do understand that sovereignty is at stake here in terms of data, but can you highlight what the major risks currently are should Nigeria go ahead with this MOU? And the MOU in question, can we rightly say that it is scary to every Nigerian, especially those in the fintech space or the tech space?
Okay, to answer your question, first, let us look at our Data Protection Act and what is covered as sensitive data at the moment. Currently, your financial record is not covered as sensitive data. Neither is your GPS record covered as sensitive data. Yeah, your biometrics is covered, your personal information, but these two very important details are not covered.
Your location and your money.
Yes, and your money. Good. So, if your location and your money is not covered as sensitive data currently, and this piece of information is being passed to another country, a whole intelligence software can be built on that.
To monitor where I'm going to,
monitor who, where,
how much I spent over the period of time, where I spent them, can also give lead to where I frequently go to regularly.
Exactly.
And there's room for abuse beyond terrorism and, anti...
So these are the concerns. First of all, your data is your sovereign asset.
Absolutely.
And every federal government should think about protecting her citizens in its entirety. And there is no amount of benefit that you want to talk to me about that will necessitate transferring or rather signing an MOU that puts your citizens at risk at this level. I met with Senator Ned. Senator Ned was pushing for a Data Protection Act earlier this year, and I think in March, and I met with him to introduce to his bill two paragraphs, a couple of paragraphs, more than two actually, his amendment that was going to lead to the protection of Nigerians in this regard. And, he entertained it, and we're planning towards the public hearing for that particular bill because it had scaled second reading. And in the process of preparing for second reading, which was going to protect us, because I was advocating for first of all, amending our Data Protection Act to protect our data, sovereignty, to ensure that foreign nationals or foreign organizations are properly profiled, domesticated in Nigeria before they have access to our financial records, and also to, protect our data like the ones I just mentioned. These were the things I was proposing to add to it. But in the process, the tax bills were already passed. That means we're late. And then, of course, the conversations have snowballed until now. If this MOU was not signed yesterday, perhaps, I would have been quiet. But now it's been signed. And it's validating the concerns we had about data sovereignty. So the conversation has to begin.
Is the Minister of Digital Economy not aware of this?
I was about to ask that.
Because he just launched something now, the 3MTT or something.
That in a world where data protection is a big deal, it's your identity.
It's on the front burner.
It's on the front burner. Who is it that the government was not properly informed about the effects that you've mentioned?
Yes. So I think that, when we say the federal government, there are several moving parts at the same time. FIRS is doing theirs. Minister of Digital Economy is doing theirs. Everybody's doing theirs. But you see, this is where we now need to be better policed in our area of national sovereignty. It's a conversation. There needs to be a layer. We shouldn't just have agencies and ministries and everything just, crossing the international boundaries, without a proper consultation going on. Just due process. Just yesterday, you could hear that the president was, happy and encouraging our youths. These are the capacity. This, in the area of technology, most of the guys who are currently controlling the tech space in Nigeria, most of them are less than 50. Most of them are in the range of 40s. They are youths, young guys. Look at what in fact, negatively, our Yahoo boys are doing. Let us even say we take them, reform them, and then put them.
Create a lab.
Yes. Let them make use. One thing is they have the skills, they have the knowledge. These guys are hacking into anything, doing all sorts. That shows you the potentials that we have, our youths have in this country. Why don't we look at harnessing it?
Dr. Odebayo, just yesterday we saw the proposed budget for 2026, and more than 70% of the chunk of that budget is going to go into debt servicing. That means we have a revenue problem because we still keep borrowing. The federal government is owing over 2,000 contractors who are protesting every other day at the Ministry of Finance. Nigeria's tax to GDP ratio remains between 6 to 10%. That's way below the African average. So we have, we've been lax with our tax system, and the government needs more money. So wouldn't this MOU and the things we might learn from them to make our tax system more effective be beneficial towards, increasing our tax to GDP ratio?
I think that...
or are there other ways we could do it?
I think that thinking of raising money through this tax system is just one way to look at solving a problem. There are many other ways that we can solve problems than drilling deep in our taxation system. While that is good for us to have proper tax reforms, excellent. First of all, we are not against that. We are saying that we can do it at home. We have all the technology at home to get it right within. We believe in ourselves. We believe in Nigeria. We believe in the capacity of our young people, of our technological systems. We can do it at home, 1. 2, solving our income problem through taxation is not the best. We have many other ways. We have poorly mined minerals. We have, the whole mining sector right now is almost a mystery. Almost a mystery. You see all sorts when you go on the internet. Who is mining what? Is it really the government that is mining, or other people are mining? Look at the scramble for rare earth metals currently globally. Since President Trump announced his Project Stargate, where he's planning to build $500 billion worth of data center infrastructure, that's just saying that I'm going to be the biggest customer for rare earth metals.
And the Chinese too need rare earth metals for their Belt and Road Initiative.
Yes. So now these things are in abundance in Nigeria. Why don't we become the world supplier? Almost every day you see that our minerals are in abundance, with this, with that, with that, with this. Why don't we look in that direction, maximize our output in those regions, have it better driven by the right policies, and then we do good business with the rest of the world.
Rather than squeezing 100 million plus multidimensionally poor Nigerians.
The palpitations, we can
want to get
already
water
hear
out of stone.
in smaller circles as well as bigger circles about the palpitations people are experiencing as they count down to January, because it feels like they're not quite sure what to expect. But what would you say is your ask from the government? The MOU has been signed already. What would you say is your ask, and how can Nigerians better prepare themselves for whatever the outcome might be?
My first ask is that the MOU be truncated. That's my first ask. I'll be very direct. And we should then develop a national policy to guide how we interact with the international world. That's my first ask. I'm going to shoot wide. That's first.
Across board.
Across board. We need to have a proper policy. No ministry, no parastatal or agency should just knock on the front door of any country and then because it's looking good, they can, go ahead and do it. No, we should have a proper policy to guide our sovereignty as a nation, especially when there are geopolitical tensions at this time globally. That's my first ask. So that should be truncated, one. Secondly, like I said, the president or the agencies responsible should have a stakeholder engagement. What are their requirements? Let us bring together our technological heads in this country. We have pull them together. We have quite a lot of them. If you bring Remitter, you bring Flutterwave, you bring Paystack, you bring even the OPs and the rest of them who are here in the country, sit with them. Let's look at what is required. Even our Nigerian Interbank Settlement System, NIBS, let's look at it. What do we want to do? And then we own our technology. Let it be indigenous to us, just like NIBS currently is.
Yeah.
Let us have something indigenous to this country. And let us look at the end-to-end execution of our tax reforms to be sure that our data remains a sovereign asset of this country. They are not too much to ask. We are not saying truncate the whole tax reforms. We are saying truncate that MOU with France right now. And then let's come home, sit with ourselves, look at what we want to do. We're a sovereign state. We're a nation. Let's look at what we want to do and solve it ourselves. Even if you want to learn, you can learn without signing an MOU.
Are we crying wolf? Because the MOU, Nigeria signed thousands of MOUs in the past. The MOU is just on paper.
So
and look at what it's gotten us.
And there was an MOU that was recently signed by Bello Matawalle, the Minister of State for Defense in Saudi Arabia a few days ago. So
partnership.
It's MOU on paper, but we're yet to reach the implementation phase. So is there still cause for alarm?
So that's why policy researchers can actually look into the future. They look at the data, look at where things like this have been implemented. I mean, you don't even need to look so far.
So it's as dangerous as implementation, just
oh yes,
the signing
don't
of the
even look so far. I mean, Nigeria is sandwiched by French colonized nations. Just look to your left, to your right, to your north. Look around you. You have all your answers.
There's a lot to talk about, but I'm sure this conversation has started, and I mean, you started it. I'm sure you also have others who think the same way. But let's hope and see that the federal government will definitely respond to these statements you've made. Possibly, if possible, they should be able to share that MOU.
And it's also, it's not just Dr. Adebayo, speaking the minds of millions of
and I'm sure some tech experts are also wondering what was signed, because one thing we usually see at times is, before you know it, in January, we'll start seeing new policies come out.
And like they say, the devil is in the detail.
Oh, wait. When then they tell you, oh, this was already signed with, then you wonder. So it's very key. So if you're in the tech space, for those who are the tech giants, you might also want to make a request of this MOU. And I think this is also a call to the federal government to do as much as possible. Talking about the Oga at the top in the FIRS, now going to be the NIRS from January 1st. Mr. Zach Adediji, to also ensure that we have clarity on what this MOU really is. But thanks for opening up and sharing the insight into this. It's a good one. It's a good one.
Hello, welcome back to Breakfast Central. It's now time for us to look at the newspaper headlines. And joining us to do this this morning is Mr. Theophilus Akatugba, Public Affairs Analyst. We haven't, I don't think, maybe I was on leave, but I've not seen you in a while. Yeah, so
yes,
it's good to have you back.
I thought I've been left in the cold, but I didn't.
No. Viewers have been asking, who are we? So where is that man?
Good to be back, but
by popular demand.
You gave me a little time. I've been busy as well. So
making money.
I say I'm
and a lot of things have happened while you were away. So let's get straight into it. Please, can we have the front page of the Punch newspaper up as we begin what we came here to do? Yes, insecurity. Federal government approves 94,000 new enlistments into various security agencies. We also have EFCC arraigns ex-Labour Minister Ngige today. If you want to know why, buy a copy of the Punch newspapers. Labour Party rules out automatic ticket for Obi. That's an interesting one. And Oshomole Ndume lock horns over Omokri's nomination. South governors, PDP, Mon Bayelsa deputy governor's death. Very sad one there. And ex-AGF Malami spends fortnight with EFCC. For those that say the EFCC is not working and goes after Yahoo boys, the ex-AGF is in EFCC custody and the EFCC is going to arraign an ex-Labour minister today. Oyinlola blames Tinubu for PDP crisis. Local refining boom slashes petrol imports by 6 trillion naira. Fuba pushing rivers towards fresh crisis, says Martin Amewule, and I believe that's a good place to start this conversation. We'll get back to the insecurity. No, let's start with the insecurity. I'll let my colleagues pick up on River State. 94,000 new enlistments.
This is some news that is good if it is done properly. It's been long overdue that we need to boost the numbers of our security forces. You can't have a country that is growing in the way we are growing, and you have your security forces depleting or not growing in the same proportion to provide adequate cover. In many countries of the world, we say that the entire place is well policed. Well, Nigeria is under police.
Some will argue that it's not about the quantities, the quality of the police,
no, you see,
the welfare, the equipment.
We have a very vast expanse of land and a large number of people. So you also need men before you look at the equipment. No matter the technology you are going to deploy, if you need a policeman in a place and the travel time to arrive there is longer, you give room for the criminals to perpetrate their act and go, gleefully, the way we see them do in the north. Yeah. They normally come to overrun our men. When you are just about 30 at a military post and you hear that the insurgents are coming with bike, 400, how many of them will you kill before they get to you? So we need to be, this is good, but you see, it is not the intention, the policy, or the action government intend to take in Nigeria that is the issue. We have enough of that. It's the implementation, the execution. Because these men you are going to enlist, you will train them before they will be onboarded. The training process, that's why you see the president declared state of emergency in the training institutions. Because what will you get from a very poorly trained person? Demotivated, dehumanized before he become a policeman. He will unleash that dehumanized. He will dehumanize anyone he comes across because he is a dehumanized, wounded human being. So my hope is that enlistment is done nicely, done without rancor. We don't want to see our people have a stampede at a stadium and kill our young ones who want to just, it happened in Ghana. They wanted to enlist people into the military. And there was a stampede and many people died.
Sad.
We don't, yes.
It happened in Nigeria. Senator Abamoro was Minister of Interior.
Wanted to enlist into immigration or so.
Yes.
This one is just a recent development in Ghana. So crowd control and management in the process should be good enough so that we don't have...
In all the services, where should the chunk of the personnel go to?
For me, I feel should be the police. Because Nigeria, we don't have so much external aggression, apart from this Boko Haram menace that mostly is a collaboration between internal forces and the foreign. The foreign ones do not invade us. They live among us. They have become part of us because their culture, they have a cultural affinity with a part of this country. So you might not know a Nigerian, a Chadian, when you see them in the north. They have such homogeneity that you think that they are northerners. When I went to Nigeria, I thought I was in Nigeria. There was no difference. The kind of celebration, the kind of things they do in Nigeria, they're actually Nigerians. But they see themselves as Nigerians. They speak Hausa language. They dress the same way. Their culture is aligned apart from... So this is the difficulty in cracking Boko Haram, because every time you see them walk through the borders, go through the Nigerian border with all these Islamic countries, Niger, Chad, you see that it's just a free flow.
That's why they are Nigerians and we are Nigerians. And the only difference really in the alphabet is letter A in ours and letter E in theirs.
Yes,
but you say that you think the bulk of the recruitment should go to the police.
Yes.
What are your thoughts as well about the recent wave of withdrawing VIPs, security detail from VIP?
I thought that is one of the best decisions that this president has taken. I think he took it because when you see a lackadaisical attitude of even the people you work with, because they have a sense of security for themselves, and they do not care, because if you are traveling, you have the compliments of security men following you. You really don't bother about another person shouting insecurity. In fact, you will say the country is secured. So when he pulled it out and took them that those men have become docile and they have become domesticated and underutilized. And my hope is that they will not even run away because they are not used to combat, to facing an opponent. So I hope absolutely school runs, running errands, and having good word in their pocket, and because on a daily basis they get good grip and they drive in Porsche cars. AC. Now they are taking them to the theater of conflict.
You know, take them to where they will be inside hot sun that has no AC.
Are you sure they will not resign?
They need to go for debriefing sessions. No, they need to go for debriefing sessions, reacclimatization.
Are you sure they will not resign?
The life they've been used to is completely different.
Meanwhile, the army has stopped anybody from retiring. I hope you know that.
Yes,
right?
they put a post.
They put up a post. Nobody, you cannot retire.
Fantastic.
Even if you've reached your retirement, stay
fantastic.
By force.
That's what you call to set Nigeria is by force.
Yes, for military men, that is their creed. That's what they signed on to. They have signed that they are here to give their lives for us. That's why we respect them. That's why I personally have a lot of awe for a military man. I see him as a unique human being. Anyone who is in the military,
ready to pay the ultimate sacrifice.
Your people, your family endorsed it. That you are no longer for them. You are a property of the state. So we respect them. That's why when they come to take power, it's the worst aberration upon the people. You can't seize power when you are not supposed to be in ultimate power.
You're not even trained to do that.
Correct. So I'm happy at what happened in just the
Benin Republic.
Yeah, fantastic.
Okay, so before we move away from this to the next paper, two more questions regarding the judges who are decrying the withdrawal of military personnel, of security detail, because a number of these judges are politically exposed person. Maybe not politically
even a
exposed,
senator.
Just even
the
being
nature
able
of
to,
the judge of exactly.
Yeah, I shared an incident because I have a friend who's a judge, and once shared with me how she was somewhere, and she recognized someone recognized her there and said, "I know you. You're the judge that gave a judgment against my father." So, what are your thoughts about that, as well as the likelihood of forest guards being armed?
Okay, for the judges, I think the president must make a special provision. They might find another way so that it doesn't look like some people are protected, others are not. The judges need protection, whatever kind of protection that must be arranged, because they are indeed exposed. And it's quite dangerous for a judge to be found in a defenseless position by someone who has harbored grudges or pain as a result of a judgment that judge might have given in the past. So government must do something. For senators, for politicians, I do not think they should have personal guard in a time of so much insecurity that has festered for this long without solution.
I mean, these are elected.
Yeah, they are elected. They should create an environment where they are just as safe as we are.
So Godswill Akpabio should just be driving in.
He should drive himself evil, not chauffeur-driven, as we find in many other climes. You see, if you create, what are we afraid of? Insecurity, because we have not taken care of our citizens. If you take care of your people and a country is well run, there's hope. What is the meaning? People are hopeless. People become hopeless when a young man wakes up and says, okay, I have no money. Where do I go to get the money? Is there a place I can go get jobs? Is there a website I can put my name and I will see jobs showing up? We have not created that kind of hope. And the average Nigerian young man is living a hopeless life that he is easily drawn to crime. And then this is what you see in the north, when you've created such a huge population of hopeless people who religion has kept for long, in quietness. And they can now see that life is ebbing away. And they know that they can react. And they've tested it that when you catch and you abduct somebody and keep it in one room, you can get millions. It becomes a huge industry.
Okay, let's now move to another paper. But we have a call from Abuja. Good morning. Thank you very much for calling. Please go ahead with your comment.
Yeah, Mr. Abori.
Hello? Abori, yes, please. We can hear you. Please go ahead. Yes.
I want to just more question and do more contribution. Let me start with the contribution. The problem of the security is that they take bribe and took people, and they see the security as if like a place to go and work and collect salary and go to the house. That's why I see many people are not serious. I know some people around my area, civil defense, even to hold a toy gun, they are afraid. They can't hold it. So such people, if they say they want to try and start to take bribe from them to employ them, how can we be secure? And the question I want to ask now, the man that is there with you people, let him look like this US, France, UK, all those foreign countries. The way police secure our politicians here, is that the same way they secure them in that place, or they depend on the public security, or they do have their own personal security? That's my question.
Thank you.
That's a question. Like I said, you will need a lot more security if you create an environment of insecurity. If that is what you have developed over the years, if you don't allow society to develop in a manner that even the people develop alongside of it and they get the full benefit of being citizens, so that's why when you ask the question,
I don't think they developed insecurity. They lack the capacity to deal with the underlying factors.
No, they didn't lack
governance.
It didn't happen at once. What we have now is we are reaping what we have sown over the years. Insecurity did not chance on Nigeria overnight. If cities are developing and the human capital is not developing, they will become a terror to the state and to everybody else. So what I'm saying is that what we need to begin to talk about is not just about securing ourselves. It's about solving why we have go to the root cause and dismantle it. If you don't do that, you will need more men, more soldiers, more police. And in climes like the UK and all of them, in the UK, so gun is not allowed to be free-flowing. You don't have people with guns. Even the police don't have guns most times. And they use batting. So if you get to that stage, we have lost that. We used to be like that when Nigerian police were carrying
the area boys now and whistle.
There was a time that our banks were just guarded by just crossing something. Even till tomorrow, societies that are close to us, Benin Republic and Ghana.
Let's take this call. We'll get back to all this question on forest guards. Oluwatosin, good morning to you.
Good morning, Hal.
Good morning.
You guys are doing well. You are doing great. My contribution to my advice to Nigeria government is that I want Nigeria government to recruit more police. But if they want to recruit, for instance, let's use Lagos as an instance. Recruit Lagos, recruit any police you recruit that is from Yoruba land. and it's from Lagos State. Let them stay in Lagos. If you recruit any police from Ondo State, let them stay in Ondo State. If you recruit police from Makurdi, that's Benue, let them stay in their state. Are you getting me? If you recruit from Kano, let them stay in Kano. So they should not bring someone from Kano to Port Harcourt. You know, that is what is causing conviction everywhere and corruption in our police, in our force system. If you recruit, anywhere you recruit, let them stay in their various states. You should not transfer them to Lagos or Lagos to Maiduguri. They should stay in their state. That is number one. That's my number one advice. And the politicians, the people in National Assembly, they are not doing well. They are not doing their job. They are just there for money, to make money. They are there for themselves. That's the way I see it. They are not there for the citizens. There's a lot of insecurity everywhere. Even in my area in Abuja, we provide security for ourselves. We pay for every dam every month. No, if you call police to come, police will tell you they don't have fuel, they don't have money, they don't have this. They will be demanding, and their work is not effective. So we provide everything for ourselves. So what are they doing in the National Assembly? They are sharing money. It is unfair. So that is my contribution.
Thank you very much for your contribution. I really want us to go to another paper, but let's get your quick reactions to this.
Yes, sir. The point about recruiting police and letting them stay in their locality defeats the very purpose of the Nigerian police force. You can't, if you do that, over time you see a policeman is only used to Lagos, then who becomes the IGP? He comes with a very narrow view of the nation. So you need to move police around. It gives them the opportunity to understand the dynamics of the country. They learn on the job, they grow on the job.
And moving around, would it be still under the umbrella of state police?
No, state police will recruit their citizens. But we are talking about the National Police Force, the Nigerian Police Force. Like the FBI. You can't recruit somebody and say he must stay in his locality. Then it's easy to be a Nigerian police.
So maybe what he was trying to suggest was state police.
Well, he didn't mention state police. He was suggesting what the federal government should be doing. So that will not work for the Nigerian police force. Yeah, the other point...
But local intelligence is important too.
What is intelligence? When people volunteer information. Kidnapping and all this banditry is not popular in the South because we talk, we volunteer. The Northerners, they condone them. So when they condone them, they see them around them and they see them as their brothers and they are of the same faith. They won't betray them. Or the code of Islam that says you can't lie against somebody or don't bear false witness. So you don't have great evidence, you don't want to say, because according to the religious code of even Christianity is that don't say what you are not sure of, because what you say might lead to the death of another. So they keep to these codes and they leave them until they harm them.
Okay. And forest guards?
Forest guards need to be armed because that is a very tough and dangerous undertaking. Many of the kidnappers, they are domiciled in the forest. They take their kidnappers
in the forest
before they get them to wherever they were. A friend of mine was kidnapped on the Benin Road. No, not recently. Okay, but he told me the story how they kept walking. There was no moment of respite. All of the days it was keep moving in the deep forest, and it was a terrible experience.
I can only imagine.
And all of that. So the point is that forest guard, you can't recruit forest guard and make them armless. If they go there, they will be distinguished. They will be extinguished.
Let's hear from Harrison calling from Benue State. Good morning, Harrison.
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Yes, like the issue of the policing. I felt policing in Nigeria is underfunded. Underfunded in the sense that when you go to a police station today, you have a case of kidnapping, you have a case of emergency. The only thing the police will tell you, they don't have fuel in their car. And if you look at even the car the police they are using, I mean, it's very, very rickety. And at the end of the day, you look frustrated. After the operation might have ended, after 1 hour of calling the emergency number of the police, before they will now come and they begin to ask you a stupid question. So I look at it that security, we know security is everybody's business. But government have to look into it. The DPO today, they are only just there for themselves and for themselves alone. What the boys can bring from outside is what the DPO is after. So if government can look at it and then redraw the architecture of a police, I think it will help us as Nigerians. I was opportune to visit Cotonou some few years back. In that very place, once you are coming like this, they will just blow whistle. You stop, make a check, you will go. No harassment, no nothing. As small as Cotonou, well organized. Why can't that be duplicated in Nigeria? So, police, they should look into the welfare of Nigeria police. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, Harrison.
That point is so apt. Underfunding is a big issue, and the DPOs, they survive by sheer brute force. They find a way to make a day in the police station is a gruesome day for the DPO. And so what they resort to doing is you bring your case, then you facilitate the process. So they charge those who are wounded, and then the person goes home with a bitter taste in his mouth. In fact, the Nigerian, the injured is the one that spends money after being injured to go and look for those who injure him. So that's a great injustice done to the Nigerian citizen. Something has to be done. You don't recruit 90-something thousand, underpay them because some of their salaries can't take them halfway home. The Nigerian policeman is a miserable fellow in terms of his take-home pay.
So they need to look holistically at the welfare.
I said to you, when President Buhari came and said we want to fight corruption, like I always say, you can't fight corruption if you don't deal with the police, the judiciary, and the media. These are the three people that can save Nigeria.
Okay, let's take a call from Delta. Dr. Prince, good morning. Thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Good morning. God bless you. I really need to appreciate your program this morning because you people are doing very well.
Much.
You're doing very, very, very well. Your station is the next best station that I do watch all the time.
Thank you very much. So it being the best station that you watch, not next best.
Yes.
That is your contribution.
Police issues. There is no how you can talk about the problem of this country without mentioning police. One, even a child hears about Nigerian police, they become angry that those are enemies. They see Nigerian police as an enemy. Why? Because of the way the system is bastardized. The system has been bastardized. A police is supposed to be a friend. When you are driving on the way, when you see a policeman, your heart will be skipping. Even when everything is intact, they want to find a way of humiliating you. So they might not be all, but I mean, a good percentage of Nigerian police are not friendly. So when they talk of Nigerian police, to us that they are enemies. Now, if you want to recruit policemen, somebody was saying that they should recruit police and everybody should be, locally stationed. No. Like what my brother just said, it's not going to be the best. You can't just recruit a police in Lagos State and then rigid him to be a police station in Lagos State. No. It doesn't take anything for us to get at least 5 million policemen in Nigeria. We are less than 500,000 policemen, and we are more than 230 million citizens. So what are you policing? Who are you policing? So when we talk about Nigeria, should wake up about policing Nigeria. That is one. Then in the area of Nigerian senators, those are another set of enemies. They are not there for Nigerians. They are there for themselves, and those are the issues we are having in the system. How can you send a representative instead of representing you, representing himself and his family alone? Now, the withdrawal of these police, the VIP's police, they are afraid because they are enemies. They are afraid. They can't come to the village. They can't go to their village because they are enemies to even their own brother. So we need to wake up in this system. The senators are not friendly. National assemblies are not friendly. When they get there, they forget about the masses. So they are afraid. They are seriously afraid. May God bless you people. And you know, this issue is not what to talk about.
Very much.
Fantastic. I think that a senator should be friendly with his people. It's sad to hear that some are not. I know a lot of them are doing their best. This withdrawal is not an attack on them. I don't think that's the intention. The intention is for everybody to wake up. I can't feel more secure than the other citizens. We are all citizens of this country. If the country is not generally secured, I don't have a police escort, you don't have. The other man too should not have because I elected you to
but
represent.
They're politically exposed.
Like, what is good for the senator is good for the
exposed persons.
So they should see it. Yeah,
so they deserve some level of cover.
No,
by the state.
they are as much as covered by even the facilities they have. They have the best of cars, they have bulletproof cars. So much has also been provided. The NSCDC is also there. So you see, they should find ways. They can even get personal bodyguards at their own expense, not at the expense of the state.
Personal bodyguards,
yes.
are they armed?
No, they don't need to be armed. They just need to be able to be there to create a sense of security. Most times the police that are with them, even the ammunition in the gun,
those senators in the northwest and northeast, they'll tell you that they need to be armed. The level of threat, the threat level is different.
I agree. That's why the president said, because of the nature of your job, if you have a certain assignment or a certain travel, some arrangement can be made. But you won't have one person beat you day and night, 24/7. No. But if you want to make a trip, you can make an arrangement.
Okay. I want us to quickly move to another story, and then we'll play a few videos. On the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, reps ask federal government to prioritize forex allocation to airline operators. Call for 50% reduction in cost of tickets during Yuletide. Awujale throne. Fushengboa ruling house, Dison Kwamwon Ha. You are not one of us, family says. Dangote unveils 1 trillion naira scholarship scheme for 1.3 million Nigerian students. Enugu government earmarks 10 billion naira for phase 1 of the 135.4 kilometer rail project. Catholic priest tells court how terrorists bombed our church. PDP Ogun, Adamawa governors mourn as Bayelsa deputy governor dies. This was a really sad story to discover. May he so rest in peace, and may those who mourn be comforted. Oshomole Ndume clash. As Senate screens Reno Omokri, others ambassadorial nominees enjoy bow and go privilege. Let's share with you some of the clips from the screenings of our ambassadorial nominees, and then we'll come back to have Mr. Katuba speak on that.
Senator Ndume, are you opposed to Omekri's nomination?
No.
Senator Shomon, are you opposed to the nomination?
I have recorded it over and over 100%.
So you're on the same page?
You're on the same page. I say another to put the question.
The Secretary Colleagues, a motion has been moved and seconded. Those in support say aye. Aye. Those against say nay.
Nominees before us are career ambassadors and ambassadors before, and also the last among the nominees, Reno, is somebody that I personally know for the past 25 years, can vouch for his character. Therefore, Mr. Chairman, I again want to move that these nominees take a bow and go.
Okay, let's get your thoughts.
Well, my thoughts about the screening of the nominees, I feel they should have done a little more, ask some more questions, but Reno has been championing himself as a very good ambassador of this country. And so sometimes I felt he got a hint that this is a position that might be coming for him, and he activated that part of his work in a manner that you can no longer deny him of qualification to be a representation of our country. The arguments back and forth are just normal parliamentary processes, and I think that those who wanted to ask some questions and those who didn't, those who want to ask, they lost the plot, because those who felt they should take a bow and go. Reno had worked in government already before, and so they said they are extending privileges to those they already know. So you can't question them on that. That's their processes. But
why should they even get those privileges?
Well, because if you see you've served before, there's nothing in the recent past that have tarnished or tainted your record. Why do you have to put such a person through the vigor of questioning? You must give privileges to people.
But doesn't that then, and I say this because I've seen a number of the reactions online, people who have criticized the Bow and Go, they want to hear, right? They want to hear that. And even a number of us, before we came to News Central Television, we had experience in media. This was not our first media house.
Of course.
But when I came here, I was made to do a screen test.
Yes, but where you are coming from, is it as great as News Central? That's the issue.
So apart from that, you're also coming to another. It's like if Renault goes before another parliament, another nation, it will be questioned. But this is still within. Assuming you are taking an elevation from your position.
Renault has not served as an ambassador.
Not in the position of ambassador, but you're serving government at any capacity.
It's the same way I had worked in media, in a different capacity.
You serve in government.
If you serve in News Central now, you want to elevate to a bigger position. News Central might not be so tough in questioning because they've known you within the organization and they're giving you a higher position. So for this role, they've seen him, they've seen his work, they've seen him in government with Jonathan. A lot of them are PDP members. So he is also a friend.
How about the moral aspect of his character? You know, saying something today and then switching tomorrow.
I mean, he's somebody who...
there is no one in government that is guiltless of that. A lot of them have said something before that turned out to be completely
But the level of, of the things he said, the denigration
even global
Mr.
leaders,
President.
Then before now? Okay. Yes. Well, that was political. You know, in political arguments, they say that all is fair until you get into office.
So no permanent friend.
You see, the British BBC found wanting for doctoring an interview also. They are not political. It's a news media that went into politics. So it happens.
Okay. My final question regarding the Bow and Go system. Do you think that privilege should also extend to the cabinet members when they're being screened for ministerial positions?
No, because you see, for ministerial position, it's a very sensitive and strategic office where you dispense the president's vision within the ministry.
And execute.
And if you don't understand what you are about, how do you implement? You know, the other time we had a short argument out of the station where we talked about the minister of, and you know, I lost the plot. You won. That the new guy is loved by people and all of. But I didn't know. Was he not Minister of State? Was he the full Minister of Defense? Matawali.
Minister of State for Defense.
Absolutely. Yes. Okay. So, but the minister himself is the one that resigned.
Exactly.
So Matawali is still in office.
He's still there. Right. Although there are calls that he should also follow suit because it's like a duplicity. Yeah. You're duplicating the same responsibility.
People are very excited, but I'm not as excited as everyone.
Why?
Now, you know, it is easier to be a military man than a civilian that runs a military establishment. This same man who knows it all, you will see the kind of loggerheads we have with them. Then we see him as somebody trying to spoil their gari in the Nigerian
he's freshly retired, so he knows. I mean, even the fact that he knows, he worked with a lot of them.
He's not in favor of those in the office now. That will be the conflict. You were there, you had your good time.
You will see what can escalate to, Mr. President.
You see that office becomes, they will even do everything to undermine him and avoid it. Because I know our system, people are too commercialized. The people who have entered the office now know that the privileges of that office, they need to enjoy it to the fullest. And if you have come and you have used the back door to get back into ministry, this is Nigeria. This is how they have always been running the country. That's why Nigerian citizens tell you we are not getting the benefit of the country. Because everyone is trading with his position and trying to make the best out of it.
Okay. I wanted us to take that story about IKEDC on the front page of the Vanguard.
Which one?
FCCPC seals IKEDC office over violation
I think the details are
of customers' rights. So the FCCP's Director of Surveillance and Investigation, Bola Adeyinka, explained that the action was taken under the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Act 2018 following repeated attempts to resolve the matter. Sealing the facility is a proportionate enforcement measure taken only after repeated engagement and several opportunities for voluntary compliance, he said. And he added that the seal will remain in place until Ikeja Electric complies fully with the directives issued by both NERC and FCCPC and provides evidence, written evidence of that compliance.
But if they sealed it, as they have sealed it, the customer won't have light now. So who is...
No, they seal the administrative office so that they don't have an office to go and even have the time to approve the disconnections. So
they should also seal. They should seal the ladder that they used to. The ladder that they used to cut lights.
I have, you know, the position of the IKEDC is such that you are the only person. You are a monopolist, and sometimes you have challenges with them. You are just at the receiving end. It's either you accept what they have told you, or you bear the pain for as long as you are in conflict with them.
Grid.
So the ICPC should be harder on them. They should ensure that the rules are implemented, because the National Electricity Regulatory Commission, right?
Yeah.
There are policies. Sometimes you are not supposed to disconnect someone on Friday. Are they keeping to these rules? If somebody is in default and you want to disconnect, you have to do it early in the week, not a Friday.
Then finally,
So
Mr.
all of these things, let's hope that they hold them to it.
Big story here. Fuba pushing Rivers towards fresh crisis. I mean, this is a man that was suspended for 6 months.
Back and forth.
You think he's sobered up, that things should be okay. Is also...
While you're talking, sorry, I just want to cue, if we can have that video.
Yes, please.
They're both videos. I don't know. We have one from yesterday. Fubara saying that he's open during the...
And
we have today's
video too.
So whichever one we can
Let's
play
juxtapose.
Just you know, it's a story that is hot. It's fresh. But we shouldn't be too excited. You know, we're excited when the old drama was going on. Everybody was like,
my first thought was that
he's defected now. Does that change anything?
The big problem with the Rivers State, you know, political scene is Fubara.
You think it's the problem?
It doesn't have the talent of public speaking. And so when he comes out, he doesn't represent himself as
not an orator.
Yes, he's somebody who is a behind the scene man. So when he's put in the public space to express himself about the thought of his heart, they really come out in a manner that tend to reduce the status of his office.
And now
maybe that's why he's using music. Exactly.
So
to express himself.
That is what I thought.
It would be nice to have that.
He should not have said anything.
Yeah.
He should not have responded. He should just say there is no problem. We are in good. He should not go into that explanation. I want to meet with them yesterday.
And it's that explanation that has elicited this response from Ameule. Saying he told lies.
They said he's spending without passing through the house.
But as journalists, someone claims it's raining, you say it's not raining.
Let's listen to this.
Journalists need to go outside and find out if it's raining.
Let's listen
So
very quickly.
we can't tell who's lying.
Personally, do not have any disagreement or any anger anywhere with my members of the National Assembly, even that of the state here. Mr. Speaker, leadership of the House and other members, I have made every effort to meet with you. I'm just waiting for that meeting to be fixed. The understanding that we have is that they are going to arrange a meeting. So whoever is saying that I refuse to meet you, or there is an arrangement that was presented to me and I said I'm not going to do it, it is...
The governor has not come to us to tell us to present the budget of the state. He hasn't. In 2024, he spent with that appropriation law. In 2025, he was spending. Emergency rule was declared. Even after the emergency rule, we discussed with him in the meeting, saying, look, bring your budget so that we can take care of all you.
Resist the urge to shalaye, like they say on social media. I think he has lost the plot in terms of coming out to defend himself. When he was fighting then, it was hot. Now he has decided to explore political means to say you should better relax and
absolutely.
But he has explored.
Let us
how do we know who's telling the truth?
We'll know by next week Monday when we come back on Breakfast.
That's a good one.
Thank you so much for watching, guys.
Wow.
On this note, we end the show. Have a fantastic weekend, by the way. Thank you, Mr. Theophilus Akatuba. Thank you for being here. Her name is Olive Benga Borowa. My name is Johansen. Jasir is up next. Please don't listen to what Benga is about to say. He will not say anything that's of interest. Bye-bye.